Happy heated rivalry. Cheers. Oh crap, it kind of peed on my laptop. Okay. Maybe I'll use this as the intro. In case you're new here, my name's SK and welcome to Heartstatic, the podcast where we tune into the thoughts, feelings, and everything we're too afraid to say out loud. Something I've been too afraid to say out loud recently is how lonely I feel sometimes when I'm alone. And it sounds funny saying it out loud like that, but that's really the best way that I can describe it. There's a certain gift in finding peace in being alone. And I've mentioned before how important it is to nurture the relationship you have with yourself because you are the only person who knows you fully, and you are the only person who will be with you until the end. If you've been listening this far, you know this by now. But the journey to get to that place, the journey to get to a place of comfort with being with yourself only, is a long one and a lonely one. I have a feeling that this episode might be a little more vulnerable than the rest. We'll see, or maybe this is just the start of something wonderful. I hang out with friends, I call family members, I fill my time with TV and TikTok and reading and anything to not be alone with my thoughts. And I like to play music when I'm cooking or taking a shower or listening to a podcast. And I used to do it to sort of romanticize the vibe, to enhance the moment for myself, to really be more present with myself. But recently, I've been doing it so I'm not present with myself, so I'm not alone with my thoughts, so my thoughts can't tell me the mean stuff that it likes to say. It's become a necessity for me recently, and I'm afraid of what my thoughts might have to tell me. I don't like saying this out loud because I've always thought of myself as an independent person. I've never felt that I needed to rely on anyone to deal with my emotions or my thoughts. Like I wanted to keep everything to myself because that's just what I did since I was younger. Like I always just kept everything to myself. I didn't bottle it up necessarily, but I wouldn't feel the need to confide in anyone else. And I've honestly, I do find comfort in being alone. Like I get excited to have the house or the place to myself and do a little self-care day, do my nails and watch TV and drink some wine and whatever. And I get excited for that, but I can't help but feel that there's this void that I need to fill. Like nothing's really working anymore. And like, is it loneliness? Is it something that I need to work through? Am I starved for attention? Lately, this void has been feeling a lot louder than normal, I guess. And that's not to say that like I feel lonely, so I'm going to jump into a relationship. I know that I know that I don't need and don't want a relationship. No part of me feels that I need to seek that out. I'm at a point in my life that I feel kind of disgusted with the thought of being with someone else right now. I'm young. I'm not really an adult yet. I don't feel like I need a relationship at the moment. Why should I bother myself with finding a partner when I still haven't lived alone yet, traveled the world, had a serious career? I don't even really have a career. I'm still in school, which is kicking my ass, by the way. Yeah, that's the thing. I'm too busy to be in a relationship. I have so much other stuff going on. I was doing homework earlier and I'm like, I do not have time for that. I would not be able to give the amount of affection and attention to someone regularly when I barely have time for it myself. But there are times at night where I'm alone, thinking, and I just can't help but think to myself, am I telling myself this story, telling myself that I'm choosing to be alone, rather than realizing that I'm just alone? The more time I spend with myself, the more time I try to learn what it's like to be with myself, the more I realize how much I've neglected myself. And it's like, I realize exactly how many unwashed dishes I've left in the sink, piling so high that I'm worried that one day they might just topple over and crash and shatter all over the kitchen floor. But I just keep playing Jenga with it. Every time I walk home with a podcast in my ears, every time I turn on the TV when I'm claiming to have a self-care night, I'm just adding another dish to the kitchen sink. But what does being alone even mean? We're getting philosophical up in here, guys. What does it mean to be alone? Because I'm kind of bouncing around between, like, is alone single? How much alone time am I supposed to spend with myself? Some people might feel like it's crazy to sit in silence. Is that crazy? Am I crazy? Probably. Everybody's a little crazy. But being alone has such a negative connotation. People think being alone is a bad thing. People think wanting to be alone is a bad thing. Okay, let's think about this. I feel like people who are introverted kind of get more of a bad rap. Nowadays it's not as bad, but I feel like growing up, like if you were labeled an introvert, then you were kind of considered weird or a freak, you know? And there are different types of introverts. There are the ones who can socialize but just have like very small social batteries and they just need to Irish goodbye a party or dip early. Then there are those who are more shy and reserved, following their friends around at a party because it's just too intimidating to walk up to somebody else, too emotionally draining to say hi, how are you to a stranger. And then there are those who are considered loners, but that might be a different thing. These are people ostracized from society, usually, maybe because they make people feel uncomfortable around them, or they don't know how to express themselves the right way because nobody taught them. Or it's obvious that they just don't like engaging with people, so it's like, why bother? Now, obviously, all these different types of introverts, they all have their own internal complexes going on, but they're all considered, they all prioritize alone time. And then of course you'd have to pin one down and say, hey, how do you like being alone? What do you do when you're alone? What does that mean to you? Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll just grab one off the street by the scruff. Hey, what do you do when you're alone? That'll do it. That'll make them comfortable. That'll ease them right into to opening up to me. Okay, so introversion. Kind of bad, depending on what flavor you are. And then being alone in terms of a relationship, also bad. Singleness is considered bad because, you can't find a partner? You prefer to date around and not commit? Even if that's not the case, it speaks to some level of perceived inadequacy. It's just like the single friend, you know, if you have a big friend group and they're all coupled up and then you have the single friend, and I mean, everybody loves the single friend, obviously, because they're in the friend group, and they keep trying to match them up with people because it's like, I don't know, sad that they're alone? Or maybe the single person feels sad because their whole friend group is coupled up. But we've just decided as a society that it's better to be with someone than being alone. Why do we feel the need to do that? Pressure our single friends to find someone. Let's take the single friend example. If a single friend is in a friend group with a bunch of other coupled up friends, and it's worse if the boyfriends or girlfriends are in the friend group as well, then it's like, yeah, the single friend's kind of having love shoved down their throat and loneliness shoved down their throat. So it's like, yeah, that's sad because nobody wants that so heavily. So then maybe in that instance, it's important for that single friend to find other single friends. Hopefully that single friend is introverted, because then you're in a bit of a conundrum. Find other single friends and go out and just find out what it is that you want. Are you looking for a relationship? If you're not, then just go out and have fun and enjoy the age that you are. Enjoy what it's like to be you now. Because a very big theme in this podcast is that you do not stay the way that you are all the time. You change, you grow, you adapt, you evolve. The beautiful curse of humanity is that we're never gonna be the same. And if you're single and you don't want to be in a relationship and you're introverted, let's handle that for you guys. It's okay, me too. Then stay at home and try to figure out what it is that you want to do alone. Now, regarding myself, if I'm feeling a void when I'm alone, I think I'm just having a hard time understanding what the difference is between coping with loneliness and appreciating being alone. I have a hard time separating that. Because, like with the music, if I'm always blasting something in my ears, is it coming from me not wanting to hear what my brain has to say? Or is it coming from, I really loved the playlist that I just made. I love listening to it. It makes me feel so happy, so energetic, or it makes me feel nostalgic, whatever, and I just want to listen to it. Or I found a new podcast and I love the way the podcaster sounds. Hopefully that's me. And I want to listen to the podcast. So it's either that, or do I listen to a podcast just so I don't have to hear myself talk in my brain? Just so I don't have to hear the narrator tearing my character apart? Or whatever it is that your brain does when you're alone. I like to hear in the comments what your brain likes to do when it's not stimulated by anything, when you're just sitting alone thinking. It might be something mundane. It might be just like, what am I gonna have for dinner tonight? It might be, God, I have to stay late at work and the commute's gonna be so much worse. Whatever. I really love to hear what other people think about when they're alone and just like by themselves, not doing anything, not watching a show. Back to the topic at hand. Why is being alone a bad thing? Why is singleness a bad thing? Why is introversion a bad-ish thing? Maybe you've heard that humanity is a very social species. They frame themselves in a community-like manner. They, we, us, we do that. But is it an unconscious thing to feel bad for someone who doesn't enjoy spending a lot of time with people, or who doesn't have a partner, and we don't even realize exactly why we feel bad? Why that's considered a bad thing, or a negative thing, a lonely thing, a pitiful thing. I'm gonna stop now. I'm berating myself ultimately because I'm single and look at me. I picked up a hobby where I just talk to myself into a camera for 20-ish minutes every 2 weeks. And then I edit it, and then I post it, and then people listen to my episode alone. Maybe you don't. Maybe you put on my YouTube on your TV and you watch together as a family. I think there is an importance in finding peace and being alone with yourself. And I think step number 1 is finding out what it means to be alone with yourself. And this goes back to how I was saying, is me putting a podcast in my ears because I want to listen to the podcast? Or is it about me not wanting to not listen to anything? And I mentioned this idea of finding peace with being single specifically in my first episode, Aftermath of a Breakup. I don't have any video for that, but you're more than welcome to listen or re-listen to the first episode to get a refresher. But we never truly find ourselves, I don't think. We're always changing and growing, and what might feel like us one day, 1 month, might not feel like us next month or the next year. Of course, there are constant, ever-present ideas, a hobby that we can never get sick of, or a personality trait that we just constantly maintain, but maybe that place you love to go to just doesn't do it for you anymore. Maybe you've become less adventurous or more adventurous as you've gotten older. And I think this journey and trying to catch yourself, trying to catch the true meaning of you is one of the journeys that we have as human beings. I think that's something important to explore. Now, unfortunately, how you go about it is the lonely part, because no one can tell you what you like to do except for you. And even you, maybe you really want to playing chess, for example, and you sit down, you try to learn chess, and it's just the most dreadful thing you have ever imagined in your life. And then maybe that just means you're the type of person who likes the idea of playing chess. Maybe you'll get into watching chess, but playing chess, not for you. And that's okay. It's not for me either. Next time you find yourself putting music in your ears on a walk or playing a podcast in the car, ask yourself, are you doing this because you want to, or is it because you feel like you need to? Now, if you feel like you need to, think a little deeper. Why does that happen? Why do you feel like you need to listen to something? Why do you feel like you need that stimulation? If you feel that you're trying to fill a void with stimulation to your brain so that you don't have to be alone, that's okay. That's normal. Because we are naturally social people, regardless of whether or not you're introverted or prefer to have your alone time more than not, or whatever. Maybe decide to fill that void another way. Phone a friend, FaceTime someone you haven't in a while, call your parents, join a run club if you're into that. Feeling that void is okay. It's normal, as long as you don't let yourself fall into it. I think this journey in finding yourself is one of the more beautiful things about being a human being. I think that constant chase of yourself, loving the chase of it all, chase yourself. Learn everything that it is that you're capable of, everything that you could potentially want to do, whether that's starting a podcast like I did, or learning that you're just a chess watcher and not a chess player. And everybody's journey is very unique, which is why it feels so isolating, but that's what's beautiful. Because you will meet yourself at the other side of that journey and be like, wow, I did this all by myself. I got here on my own, and I'm capable of getting somewhere all on my own. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for listening and or watching. If you like my music, they were made by my friend Dari Kolchitsky, and you can find more of his information at warmglowrecords.com. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow this podcast wherever you find yours. Also follow the Instagram at heartstaticpodcast, where I post clips, updates, and anything you want really. Just DM me and let me know. And if you have any ideas for a future episode, please reach out to me at heartstaticpodcast@gmail.com. Tune in next time to feel your heart static. I'll see you.